What's up, guys? Colton Richardson here, personal injury lawyer and former prosecutor. And Alex Murdaugh trial is on the 6th day, start of the second week. Sorry, I started live and forgot to check the mic, and it was a good thing because the mic was actually going to my headphones. So now you should be hearing me fine. So Alex Murdaugh, 6th day of actual trial, day 4 of testimony, I believe. And so let's dive right in. If you remember from the last Friday, they stopped in the middle of a witness, and the defense is going to cross-examine him right now. So let's jump right in. They already did housekeeping, as you know. Should start off pretty fast because we've had the whole weekend to get ready. So let's dive right in. We're on 1/2 speed.
And you may bring the jury.
Bringing in the jury. Jury doesn't see any of the housekeeping. It's as if no one left last week. Just kidding. They're wearing different stuff. Bonnie, you watched much of the day. You're probably a pro. You probably know everything that went on. I got to watch a little bit of it. So we're starting from the top today. But great to have you here, Bonnie. Taking forever to walk in.
Good morning.
There we go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Day number 6. Has anyone attempted to contact you or talk with you in any way? Okay. Very good. Cross-examination begins. Mr. Harpootlian.
Please, court, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Yes, logging in evidence is extremely tedious. There's so many foundational questions you have to ask, which can be stupid. A lot of times, attorneys will stipulate to that, so you don't have to go through these little minutia. But fortunately, some lawyers don't help out in that way.
Get organized here.
He's getting organized. It's the first witness of the day.
I'm calling you Ms. Worley. Do you have a rank?
I'm a senior criminalist.
So not lieutenant or captain or a senior?
Criminalist.
What is a criminalist? Criminalist.
I'm in the lab, basically.
I'm sorry.
I'm based in the lab, the forensic lab.
But you went out to this crime scene?
I did. Yes.
Do you normally go out to crime scenes?
At that time, yes. I was a special agent.
You were what?
I was a special agent at the time that I worked this. Yes.
Okay. And a special agent is, what's so special about the special agent?
That's what SLED agents are referred to as.
Okay. Thank you for some indulgence. One moment.
Now, the jury had the whole weekend between the direct examination of this witness and the cross. Now, I don't know what the defense is doing. You'd think he'd be ready. Is it his hearing aids?
Talk about what you did on this case. I'm going to try not to repeat a lot of the testimony for scintillating Friday afternoon together. When did you first go to the scene?
I responded as soon as I got the phone call at 10:33 p.m. I got on the road from my house within 30 minutes and arrived on scene at 12:07 a.m.
12:07 a.m.
Yes.
Now, when you got there, the Colton County Sheriff's Department, were they supposed to process the scene?
No.
What they were supposed to do?
Security.
Secure it, so nobody could walk over things and nobody could in any way disturb trace evidence, forensic evidence. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Now, when you got there, did you determine they had done more than just secure the scene?
They had marked some evidence that they found before we got there.
And you also found, for instance, that we've shown you videos that they actually, some of them, or at least one of them, if not two of them, walked into the feed room where Paul was killed, correct?
Someone did to place a marker 1 in this.
Sorry?
Someone had walked in there to place marker 1.
As a matter of fact, when you did your footwear impression examination, you found that there was a bloody footprint caused by one of the officers. Isn't that right?
After we had started processing the scene, yes.
Yes, but I mean, one of the bloody footprints in that feed room was not Paul, not the perpetrator. It was a police officer.
Yes.
Probably a Colton County police officer.
I don't know that for sure.
Who else could it be?
It could have been one of us. From
One of
SLED.
yours?
I don't think it was mine, but it could have been from SLED. I don't know.
It could have been Swag, could have been Colton County, it could have been Coroner.
Yeah, sure.
But, I mean, and in your business, there are rules about who should be walking through crime scenes, right?
Yeah. Preferably as few people as possible. If you don't need to be in there, then you shouldn't be in there.
And when they, went around and pulled the sheet up, they were walking in an area where most likely the perpetrator had walked, correct?
Possibly, yes.
I mean, that's right outside the feed room.
Right.
And those shell casings,
So right now he's just trying to cast doubt on individuals. It could have been this, it could have been that, it could have been so many other things. And just because they didn't secure it correctly and someone went in there, Alex Murdaugh didn't do it. So that's what he's doing right here.
that were near, or some of them were near, some of them further away from Maggie's body, walking in the dark, increases the probability that some trace evidence has been disturbed or destroyed.
That's probably why they went ahead and marked evidence before we got there, because they found it and went ahead and marked it so that it wouldn't be disturbed.
But couldn't they just stood back and said, there's shell casings in there, so when you got there, you would have been, maybe you would have even waited till the next morning when you had some light, right?
No, we would have started like we did as soon as we got on scene.
Okay. Well, you did some measurements,
Yes.
and those measurements are recorded on a sketch you did,
Yes.
not to scale.
Right.
And make sure. Yeah, that's my stuff. Yeah, that's my stuff. Okay. These are all the exhibits, state independent? Where are the state exhibits? Okay. Okay. So let's look
He's
at.
so unorganized. This is after a whole weekend of prep. Oh my goodness.
Maybe they didn't put it in.
This does not look good for the jury. If I was on the jury, I'd be like, are you kidding me? You had all weekend to prep and you're wasting my time. Good gosh. Looks like you're shuffling through the exhibits that had already been admitted. So you don't really have to show the prosecutor exhibits that are already admitted, but maybe they're not.
Any objections?
Mr. Harpillion, do you need more time before proceeding?
Well, I'm just trying to.
Oh, do you need more time?
No, sir. I'm ready.
Judge is calling him out. I love it.
Can you tell
You had
me
the whole
please?
weekend to do
This
this.
is my final crime scene diagram.
Okay, and you did it.
I did.
You can identify it.
Yes.
Your Honor, we would offer this documented evidence, please. It's her crime scene.
What exhibit is it?
Four.
Oh, there it is.
Any objection? Submitted without objection.
Okay, so can you put ruling number one up, please?
I was about to say he's not going to publish it to the jury.
Okay,
There it is.
And you can see that on your screen?
Yes, sir.
And that is what I just showed you, right?
Yes, sir.
And what's important to note at the outset is this is not to scale, correct?
We never do our diagrams to scale now.
Okay, but it does tell us some things.
Yes,
You found a projectile that went through the doghouse,
that's right.
and you found a projectile that went through the small animal cage.
We didn't locate that projectile, but one did go
But you
through.
had an entrance and exit wound.
Yes, that's right.
And now these yellow items over here near Maggie's body, those represent blackout ejected shells.
Yes, those are the evidence markers marking 300 blackout.
Okay, and did you take measurements of where those were compared to anything else? For instance, we see a 23.9.
Yeah,
between this
thanks for
post and
sharing,
that post.
Bonnie. It does
Did you do
kind of
anything
seem
like
that way.
for the projectiles?
Like
I don't believe I did the
condescending.
doghouse because it was inside the bedding of the doghouse.
I'm sorry, what now?
We didn't measure the projectile that was in the dog bed.
No, I'm talking about these yellow.
Yes,
Okay, did you measure where they were?
yes,
And there are measurements somewhere?
I believe on the second page of the second page of my diagram should be the measurements.
Let me go to page 2.
Yeah, you're right, Bonnie. It does seem like he is condescending sometimes. He's definitely not as organized as I thought he
You
would
have your
be.
report with you?
I do.
You have that page 2? I want to make sure I'm referring to the right one. Page 2 of 8, right. Okay, and when it says you measured them RP1, RP2, what does that mean?
That's reference point. So this corner of the feed room was reference point 1, this column was reference point 2, and this column was reference point 3.
Okay, can you find page 2 for me, please?
Is Daffy Duck or Donald Duck? Is that defense counsel? Is that what you're referring to?
Okay, well, I'll come back and show this on the Elmo in a little while.
I'm shocked
We got
at how
that, yeah.
unorganized he is. First witness back.
Not yet.
You think you have it Just lined up.
What I'd like to do is,
Again, I don't know why they use Elmo still.
let me give you yours back. And ask you,
You can do it all electronically.
what I do?
So many softwares out there. Now he lost an exhibit. Oh my gosh.
Is that what you're just looking at?
Yes,
And are these your calculations?
they are.
And this is what you recorded?
Yes.
Any objection?
Oh, playback speed. I can go.
Okay,
I can go
okay.
down to 1.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer this in evidence. I think this defense fine.
Is that better?
We'll go back and look at that again in a minute.
Easier to
And
understand.
so, can I have Roy number 1 up?
We'll have to wait for him longer. Perfect. Thanks, Bonnie. Got my back. Yeah, I'm shocked.
Okay, so you located these shell casings, right?
Right.
You did measurements of how far the small animal cage was from a reference point.
Yes.
And how far what was the reference point for the doghouse?
I'm not sure that I measured the doghouse to a reference point.
You did not measure the doghouse.
I don't think so.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's get a little more.
I am still shocked at.
Could you put KNW
God.
1644 up, please? Let me show this to her. I'm sorry, I'm getting myself whacked.
Like you, as a prosecutor, I mean, even as a defense witness, you want to have these all the exhibits together, honestly, pre-marked.
Can you tell me what
So you
this
can
is
go
a
bang,
photo
bang,
of?
bang.
It's, the doghouse.
Well, and but did you make this or was this done under your supervision?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, we'd offer this in evidence.
No objection.
Number 6.
Submitted.
What else you do is you keep track of exhibits that you mark on a piece of paper.
Now,
I don't think he's doing that though.
hold on 1 second.
One more second. One more second. So what you normally do is you have a manila folder with your questions in it and the exhibits that you're going to use if they're paper exhibits. And you can knock them out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have them all. You know where they are at.
So to give the jury some sense of, and your sketch, I'm not saying your sketch is bad, it's not.
Right,
the
Bonnie?
scale, though, and to give them some idea of the layout. This is the doghouse,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, that's right.
This is what you call the small animal cage right here.
Right.
And that's off the ground,
It has legs. Yes.
legs, right? The doghouse has got like a couple of 2x4s under it, so it's not laying directly on the ground, correct?
Yeah, I think that's
And
right.
then if we look over to the right, that would be the door to the feed room where Paul was shot and killed,
That's right.
right?
Yes.
So we're all singing from the same sheet of music here. There's the small animal, I'm calling it quail, but it's not. Is it quail?
Oh my God.
Quail. They apparently kept quail in there. And then there's the doghouse, and then there's the door to the
That's weird.
feed room. Did you do any measurements, or can you give us any? If you're standing at the
What's the question? Will we get there?
quail pen right over here, and you're looking at a 90-degree angle, that is out in front of you. Am I right on that 90 degrees?
Okay.
Are you looking at the door to the feed room, or is it to the right or to the left? Well, let me ask you this. Did you take any measurements?
Not directly from the cage to the door. No.
Uh-oh.
Tell me what is it, a 10 degree this way, 10 degree that way? I mean,
10 degrees.
I mean, I'd have to look at the photographs. If any of the photographs show from the door to that animal cage or the animal cage to the door, Let's see if it was at an angle or not, but
But you didn't take any measurements when you were on, when were you on the scene doing these measurements?
my initial measurements were the night of the incident. And then that picture was taken July 16th when we went back to take additional measurements.
And it was after July 16th, you generated the sketch we saw a moment ago.
No, I think I did this before we went back to the scene on the 16th.
So nothing changed in your sketch.
No,
And to your knowledge, you never took any sort of directional examination of the reference points, for instance, the dog pen and the door to
Where'd the witness go?
to the feed room, or from the quail cage to the door.
He's got me lost.
that's right.
I am lost on his questions.
Okay, now, do you know what? Hold on one second. Do we have Pharaoh?
Hold on one more second. Oh my goodness. This is nuts. Like some people write out their exact questions.
Yes.
Others write out
What's
topics.
Pharaoh? Tell the jury what Pharaoh is.
Pharaoh is a 3D laser scanner that we use to document scenes.
Okay,
Takes
did you use a Pharaoh scanner on this scene?
On the July 16th, we did. We couldn't the night of the incident because it was raining.
So tell us how one scans for a Pharaoh. And by the way, is the end result of that Pharaoh process a three-dimensional view of the scene?
Yes, that's right.
And so that you can manipulate it,
That's
turn
very
it,
cool.
Examine it in any direction you want, correct?
Yes.
Manipulate is a bad word
And you
for
had that done in this case.
Yes.
I did not hear the Attorney General ask you about it in your direct. Was it brought here to the courtroom?
I believe it's here, yes.
It's here. Okay, well, I have,
So right here, he's pointing out kind of, oh, wow, the DAs didn't bring this up. They're trying to hide evidence, which obviously they're not. But this kind of goes back to what I was talking about last week in the technology that has come up. And what if the jurors could put on a Oculus Rift or something and they could go to the crime scene as if they were there at that time? So cool. But I don't think they do that here.
a copy of what you furnished to us. Any objection to this coming into evidence?
Yeah, this witness is doing a good job
All right, could you play that for me?
and staying cool and calm.
Wait 1 second. Does Pharaoh stand for something, or is it a brand name like Coca-Cola or Xerox or?
It's a brand name. I think it does stand for something. I'm not sure what. We just always call
But
it
it's a
Pharaoh.
brand. When somebody says Pharaoh, it's not, there's a specific commercial product called Pharaoh. that
Called
law
Time Out.
enforcement uses, and other folks use too, right?
Yes.
Okay, how about play that for me, and I may stop it from time to time.
All right, I believe a juror raised his hand, Your Honor.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I thought we,
I think he asked if he could
Oh, okay.
move to see it. I think that's what I heard.
okay, start it and then stop it. Go ahead. Now stop it briefly. Is this a drone video
No, it's created by the Pharaoh software.
created by Pharaoh software? Okay,
Right.
go ahead.
He needs to ask more foundational questions so he doesn't have to keep interrupting and being like, whoa, time out. Got another one.
Stop it again. That would be, right down here, that would be the dog, house, right?
Right.
Okay, keep going.
We can't see it. Alte, Duffy, if you, if Dylan, do. Not sure what that means, but thanks for
Okay,
joining
stop
us.
right there. Now, we're seeing the inside of, what is this room called?
I refer to it as a workshop.
Work, okay. And the bullet that went into the quail cage, went through the quail cage and came out this wall, right?
That's right.
Okay, go ahead. Again, stop it 1 second.
He needs his own
Sure,
remote
that's great.
controller.
And the quality of this isn't very good. Why is that?
I'm not really sure.
But I mean, isn't there a final product you get from this?
I'm not sure if there's something more final than, I don't do the rendering of the software, so I'm not sure if there's
Okay.
something more than that.
Keep going.
These are questions you should ask at the beginning, not during it.
Okay, stop.
Stop.
That's the quail cage right over here, correct?
That's right.
Right here. Okay, go ahead.
And you're right, Bonnie. Some criminal defense attorneys, their best tactic is confusion. Because if they can confuse the jury, then they might not be like, "Oh, I don't really know what happened." So that's definitely a
That would be the
tactic
doghouse.
here.
Yes.
Okay, let's keep going.
So you're right on track, Bonnie.
Stop it, please.
That might be his
Now, the
forte.
bullet hole into the doghouse is on the side facing this greenery, or is it on this side over here?
It's on the other side.
On the other side. So there's a bullet hole that comes in here on this side.
Right. The kennel side. Yes.
That girl in the
What?
back.
The side that the kennels are on.
No, the kennel's back this way, right?
Yeah, but it's on that. If you're looking at the front of the doghouse.
Okay, right. So it's coming in here,
Yes.
and where's it exiting?
It goes into the doghouse there was a dog bed in the doghouse. It goes in there.
Okay, keep going.
Keep going.
No. Stop right there. Go back just a little bit. Okay, go ahead. So
Okay,
as
go
we
ahead.
watch it come around, you would agree with me that the doghouse is not perpendicular to the door to the feed room, correct?
Right.
Okay, keep going.
So what he must be doing is saying your diagram is inaccurate, thus you're lying, or trying to impeach somehow. Impeachment is showing that there's bias or making the witness seem less credible. That might be what he's trying to do here. Not very artfully. It's kind of scattered.
And that would be, stop it, that would be the feed room right here, correct?
Yes. That's right.
And these are the dog kennels up here.
Right.
Okay, keep going.
I'm with you, Bonnie. There's got to be a better way to put this evidence on. Stop it. Okay. Keep going. Stop.
So you can see, that's like a chicken coop right there?
I believe so.
Okay, keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, the drawing isn't to scale, and that might be what he's trying to prove in a very long, drawn-out way. But there might be some other reason why he wants to show this. I don't know if I was the defense. I
That's
don't know.
looking at a structure that's back probably 150, 200 feet away from the kennels, right?
Yes.
If I was defense, I don't know if I'd want
It's
to
got
show
farm
this.
equipment in it.
Yes.
But he's got to have some reason, hopefully.
Okay, that's it. So we have, and you could take this and convert it into, well, let me ask you this. Do you know how they do this?
On scene, we take scans with the scanner. Anything the laser touches, it records. Beyond that,
Well, there's a laser touch, and then isn't there a camera that goes 360 degrees this way?
And I've used one of these. We use them on trucking cases. We hire someone to take these out there. I think it's the same thing. If not, it's an equivalent of it. And they take them out there, and it pretty much scans the whole thing. It looks at where the damage is, and it's pretty much a 3D model that it makes in there. So it's really pretty cool.
This way and 360 degrees this way, and the laser and the camera sync up, and you do a number of them.
yes,
Maybe 100 or so, and
Not-
then it knits it together
that's right.
to get this.
Yes.
But you agree with me that you could do a much more focused look. This obviously has not been converted totally to 3D, has it?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Who ordered this? Who said we need this?
I'm
Foundational
not really sure. I was told to go to the scene and additional documentation, and that's what we did. So I'm not sure.
That's what he's trying to do,
If I told
Bonnie.
you your chain of custody on this indicates it was, y'all received it sometime in July or August of last year. And it's been in the custody of SWED since early January, probably 3 weeks ago. Is that correct?
I'm not sure when it was made, but
But it wasn't turned over or pulled out of the evidence locker until 3 weeks ago, correct?
I'm really not sure.
It's probably the wrong witness to be asking this. But Bonnie, if that's what he's trying to do,
Now,
beats me.
let me ask you to look at,
So if it's accurate, they're doing a great job. Let's bolster the
that
state's
report of the
witnesses.
sketches, right? Well, let me do this first.
Hold on. Rewind. Where are we at? Where is he? He's on the loose. Where'd he go? It is.
Let me ask you.
Wait.
Attorney General.
See, okay, one thing he should have done before the day started is shown the state what exhibits he's going to admit and say, do you have any objection to these? So you don't have to waste the judge's time, your time, the jury's time, our time doing this. But that's one thing that is difficult, especially for the older generation, is using technology in trial when they're not used to it.
These photos and see if you can identify them.
They're used to old school ways,
Yes.
which is nothing wrong with it. I think the new
What are they?
technology,
Those are photographs that we took when we returned on July 16th.
new technology.
And these are specifically photographs of the doghouse.
jury more
Yes.
engaged.
And I'll get to these in just a minute.
It gets worse. Oh no. Yeah, if she doesn't know, just answer, I don't know.
So this would be 7,
He can't argue with her. I
8,
don't
9,
know.
and 10. Make sure I don't get
He's not even keeping track of his exhibits. Literally just keep a list. 1 was this diagram. 2, this video. 3, this
Let me
photo.
also show you this photograph and see if you can identify it.
Yes.
What is that?
It's a picture when we were trying to determine the angle of that defect in the doghouse.
The defect would be the bullet hole.
Yes, sir.
Offer this into evidence as number 11 without objection. 11, right?
Right? Part of this is painful. Like, again, you had all weekend to prep. It's the first witness. Things come up at trial, and I understand. But after a long weekend and the first witness, honestly, you should have your exhibits pre-marked.
Go to the jury room for a break. Please do not discuss the case.
The judge is breaking now. I want to see his reasoning. Probably because of the dicks. How long he's taking. Is he going to rip him a new one? What do you think? I didn't see this part earlier. He does seem like a good judge. Good judges are patient, not biased, they're fair, cool, calm, collected. He's got to keep track of all the
Give you all an
evidence there.
opportunity to review and pre-mark exhibits, determine what you agree on and do not agree on, and we'll proceed in a few minutes.
Oh my gosh. So the judge pretty much just said, we're taking a break for the defense counsel, Dick, to figure out what exhibits he's going to use and to pre-mark them, like I just said, and to make sure that the state doesn't object. Like, I understand if it's later in the day, you get caught up and things change, but you had the whole weekend. You already heard her first cross in the direct last week, And so he had the whole weekend to prep for it. And then he comes in here and does this. That is wild. So now we're going to fast forward. Hopefully it's a quick break. We're back.
Do y'all want to introduce any exhibits without objections?
I think all except one of these.
Wow.
No objection.
No objections, Your Honor.
And what are the exhibit
Job.
numbers?
So Jan, give us 1 minute. She's still marking.
Why is she marking? Usually we mark in Oklahoma, we mark our own exhibits. There might be jurisdictional difference there. Yeah, Bonnie, he needs to get his act together. This is wild. I can't believe it. I mean, if I was Alex, I would be pretty upset that my attorney was so unprepared after a weekend. He must have taken a trip. Weekend getaway. But in trial, like, it's all on. Like, you're at trial, start of the day, you go home after trial, and you work on your next day's questions, witnesses, exhibits, evidence, because the evidence might change that you want to admit. And then every day, do. And on the weekend, same thing, getting ready for the whole next week. You don't get a lot of free time. And so even if, like, I have a trial in my hometown, sometimes we'll still get a hotel room just so, one, I'm closer to the courtroom or whoever in our office is trying the case, but also to eliminate distractions. That's right, Bonnie. Be prepared. It's shocking. If I was Alex, I would be like, are you kidding me? You had one job. Not one job, but your first job today.
The jury is present.
Thank you.
Yeah, the judge is being very cool. Where in Oklahoma? I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've tried cases in Tulsa and Oklahoma City. I was a former prosecutor in Tulsa County, and I've done a little bit of criminal defense as well. So I've prosecuted crimes and done trials on the prosecution side. I've defended criminal trials, and I've done plaintiff personal injury trials. They're fun. I compare it to, like, I played sports, basketball, and I compare it to, actually, a trial is actually going to get to play in a game. I love it. The adrenaline that you have is like nothing else. Where are y'all from? Maybe we'll start here. I thought we were going to start. I bet the judge thought we were going to start too. I don't want to fast forward because we're going to miss something.
Exhibit numbers.
9, 10, 12, 13, 14.
I think he already admitted
15,
11. That's why she skipped 11.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28.
They're all admitted without objection.
So, you took
Hopefully.
measurements.
There's no other
For
exhibits.
instance, let me show you the picture I want to show you to begin with, which is
Oh, I appreciate it,
the
Bonnie.
quail
Yeah, I've watched a few other lawyers.
cage.
There's definitely some good ones. Salt Lake City, I've been there once.
Let
I
me
enjoyed it. We went to Moab. Moab is amazing.
first of all show you exhibit number 20, which is Worley, page 7, if you could put that up on the screen.
He's still going a little slow for just getting a break so that he doesn't go
recognize that?
slow.
I do.
And what is that?
It's one of the diagrams that I created,
And what's it a diagram of?
that quail cage.
Okay. Now, you
He hasn't asked to publish it. Usually you have to ask to publish it to show the
did
jury.
okay, that sketch, and that sketch shows, so it says defect interior side of cage, in defect
So he's pointing to
interior
the TV.
sidewall of cage, and defect interior back wall of cage, right?
Right,
So you have an entrance and an exit hole, correct?
that's right.
Now, what did you do to try to determine the trajectory on that? Where did it come from?
We placed a flight path rod through defect J all the way through to where it went through the back wall of the cage.
Okay, and let me see, I know I have a picture of that here somewhere.
And sometimes, I mean, defense didn't get to prep this witness. The prosecution got to prep this witness. So this witness knew exactly what the prosecution was going at when the prosecution was asking questions. And sometimes it's difficult on the defense side to really guide the prosecution's
Is that a
witness.
picture of that rod?
That's also why you can use.
It's one of the many pictures, yes.
No, but I mean, does that
Yes.
picture accurately depict the rod you put through, but from the exterior to the interior?
Yes.
That's why you can use
Okay.
yes or no
How about
questions.
put that up, please? It would be,
Makes it a little easier.
2019.
So the defense can lead this witness because it's the prosecution's witness. Prosecution cannot lead that witness, but heck, you can lead the witness as long as the other side doesn't object.
Yes. And so you're telling the jury that this is a rod that you ran from from the entrance hole to the exit hole, and what are you doing right here?
That's where we're determining the angle.
Upward or downward angle?
That's right.
Okay, now let's talk about how you determine the angle of front to back. I don't know what you call that scientifically. I mean, did you determine the angle of that rod as to the exterior wall of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Tiffany, he had all
And
weekend. It's crazy.
based on the exhibit we saw a moment ago, the entrance wound would have been on the, how about go back?
Theodore. Oh yeah, if you've been doing
Worley,
this
page
well,
7.
which I think Dick has, shouldn't take him long to get ready.
The entrance would have been on this side, correct?
Yes.
Now, the feed room, you would agree with me, is not on that side of the quail cage, correct?
That's right.
Matter of fact, this side faces the feed room, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Sometimes I don't know. if
Now,
Dick
did you
knows where he's going.
determine, and I can walk through all the technical things you did, but did you ultimately determine the angle, you can check your notes, the angle of the entrance
Past his
hole
prime.
over here to that side? That
Watching
is-
this
and
trial,
what is
Tiffany?
is that horizontal? Am I talking horizontal?
I hope
Yes.
so.
Okay, the horizontal
I hope he was more impressive in the past.
entrance and exit wound, if you put that rod through it, what did it tell you about the angle as opposed to that flat area?
We determined it was approximately 41 degrees.
41 degrees, and if I'm standing at that edge, is it 41 degrees to my right or my left?
I believe to the right. I'm not sure though.
Can you look and see?
How much money do you think
I don't have that in my notes.
Dick is making off this trial?
Okay, let me show you a picture.
It's probably the only case he needs all year.
1,000 words.
You're right, Tiffany. He might make some good points, but
Just help refresh your memory.
he's covering it all up.
Yes.
And so, could you put KN
Oh, Bonnie.
2019 up, please?
Shade. I know I don't even know what he's doing. I still can't get over how he had all weekend to prep.
Okay, what you did was, correct me if I'm wrong, you put that rod through, and then you put a protractor up against it, and then the protractor told you it was 41 degrees from flat, or
From the, where the bullet went in the wall, from that flat edge to where the angle is was 41 degrees.
Okay, and let me show you KNWL 2007.
Is this an exhibit?
Ask
It's
you a
referred
question.
to as exhibit name, not. So a lot of documents that are produced, they're Bates labeled, which is numbers and letters at the bottom. So that's probably what he's referring to, but
You know, strike that. I don't need it. Well, that's it. But that
Strike
depicts
that.
that rod you put from the exterior through the interior, right?
That's right.
And so as that rod sticks out, it would be the path of the bullet,
Approximately, yes.
approximately. Okay. And it's 41 degrees from neutral.
Yes.
Or, I mean, if this were the wall of the wall the bullet went into, it would be 41 degrees would be over here.
yes, I appreciate Bonnie.
Yes.
Hit the like
Right.
button.
So that side. Right.
Hopefully it's entertaining and educating.
Okay. And so,
Right.
and I see from that picture we showed a moment ago, you used a protractor, just like this one, maybe similar to this one, to determine that angle, right?
That's right.
And basically you just you take the rod and then you put this up to it and then figure out what the angle is, right?
You line up the middle of the protractor on where the defect is, yes.
Where the bullet hole is.
Right.
Okay. Now, did you do the same thing for the dog pen, a dog house?
Yes, we did.
And let me walk you through a couple of those pictures.
Instead of Dick explaining it, why didn't he let the witness explain it? I think she'd do a much better job.
Let's go to page 6 of 8 of her report.
What exhibit?
Is that something you prepared?
It is.
Okay. So if we look at this, could you zoom in just a little bit for me, please? And here we go. So defect 1
Alex is munching.
is the entrance hole.
It's defect I, yes.
I'm sorry.
Defect I.
Okay. And defect H is what?
We weren't sure if it was a defect. It didn't go through the wall, but we marked it.
Did you have anything that went all the way through?
Just I.
Just I. But you also stuck a rod in that, correct?
Yes, we did.
And what was the dog, this side of the
What? What?
doghouse would be the side facing the kennels?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the entrance angle on that? You put a rod through and measured, just like you did before, with a protractor. And what was the angle on that?
The horizontal angle was approximately 84 degrees.
You're right, Tiffany.
So
Defense will
84
push
degrees.
Push the envelope. The defense always will.
Now, the
That's what
side
he's
the
doing.
bullet went in was facing the dog pens.
Yes.
And as we see from the photos, approximately, I mean, again, I'm just guesswork, but not square with the dog pens, a little bit further to, if you're standing in the feed room, if you're looking at the dog house, it would be a little bit to your left, correct?
That's right.
And then this trajectory into the doghouse is 84 degrees, which means it's coming, if that's the feed room, it's coming from even further over here, correct?
Yes.
That's
Okay.
a good point, Tiffany.
So let me have you do this for me.
She's not going to take any of it.
If I had a sketch, your sketch of the doghouse and the quail cage, you could take that protractor right there and basically show the line out, correct?
From the quail cage to the doghouse?
No, from the quail cage, the trajectory, if I put down
His questions are not very good. And
That
sometimes it's hard to ask them,
protractor
but
on the side where the bullet went in,
His questions are not
Pretty
very
easy
good.
to identify in your sketch.
Right.
And went to, what was the first one? How many degrees? I'm sorry, I can't remember that either.
She's even
Was,
laughing at him.
41 degrees. 41 degrees.
41 degrees on your sketch. You could follow the trajectory of that bullet out, correct?
Yes.
Do the same thing on the doghouse.
Right.
Okay.
Tiffany,
One
that is a
second.
good point. A lot of times objecting is strategic. Might be to throw off their game. And you're right, that could alert the jurors. Oh, wait, I need to listen to this part. So it's a good point. And trials are such a mind game, too. You have to stay 3 steps ahead of the other side. Hopefully, at least. So I call it chess on steroids. Except I'm not very good at chess either. I don't know all the moves and everything. A big exhibit. And he's already publishing it to the jury. So I hope it's admitted already.
Okay. So, how about show that?
He probably should have brought that out a while ago. Because the jury's probably lost. Like Tiffany was saying.
Okay. Is that just a blow up of what we previously put into evidence?
Yes.
Now you bring it out?
How about do me a favor and keep track of what the different angles are? Because I'll never remember when you get down here.
Nick, you should probably be keeping track of that yourself. You're going to be asking questions about it.
Can you step down, please?
Usually you're supposed to ask the judge for permission
Let's get
for the
this
witness to
oriented
step down.
correctly.
But like I said, this jurisdiction could be different. And the state's getting up so that they can see what exactly is going on because they can't see from over there. Nothing wrong with that.
Doghouse on this. Okay, I'm disoriented. I'm looking at it upside down.
I'm disoriented.
Okay, so
Do you think the jury will like
if you
Nick, though?
does protractor work for you?
He's just like a
It's got a little thing.
cuddly old grandpa sometimes.
Okay, if you take it and let's go from the
He does
Quail,
meddle the whole
um,
time. I really don't think he knows where he's going with these questions.
oh, here it is, small animal cage.
Oh,
And
here it is.
The projectile came in on this side over here, correct? Okay, so if you'll come over here for me, please. And put the projector, put the protractor against the, there you go. And how many degrees did that go?
41 degrees.
Okay, could you put that on 41 degrees?
Yeah, Tiff, you don't think they'll like him? Yeah.
41.
Yeah, sometimes
Okay,
the
could
prosecution...
you take that line out for me, please?
I know in
Or wait for you to
Tulsa,
draw
they-
that. This is a pretty fine point Sharpie.
There's not a whole lot of experienced attorney. There's some very good experienced attorneys here at the Tulsa's prosecution office, but
Okay, I'm going to hold this down if you'll draw that line. for
there's
me,
also
please.
some not very experienced ones. I decided I don't like him.
Okay.
I mean,
And that's
I'm
over
leaning
the
towards that way too,
doghouse. What was the degrees on that?
just based on how
84.
unorganized he is.
Okay, 84 degrees.
That's one thing you really don't want to do is waste the jury's time. I mentioned in
Okay.
another video,
And how about draw a line for that for me, please? From
trucking
the side of the
cases used to
doghouse.
be 2-3 weeks long, and now people are doing them in 2, 3, maybe 4 days.
I can get a book. Okay. Now, I'll take that easel now.
Yeah, Tiffany. I can see that.
Okay.
Why were they covering the
If you
camera?
just step over there for a second.
Step over there. You could be nicer. Like, please step over there.
Oh,
If you don't mind, go to the other side. But he says, step over there.
just put that up there.
He is demanding.
Now, is that steady? Yeah.
Is that steady?
So correct me if I'm wrong. But if you look at the photographs and you look at,
Is this the punchline?
The feed room door is approximately right here, correct?
That's right.
Would you circle that with a red circle for me, please?
If this is the punchline, he needs a order build-up.
Okay. And the trajectory on both these shots, so let's take the small animal cage. Did that come from anywhere near the feed room?
Doesn't appear to have, no.
It would have been up, if you follow that out. Are you familiar with where that grapevine was? If you're looking at the feed room all the way to the right?
Here somewhere?
Well, I think a little bit further up than that.
That's
So you
interesting,
can
Bonnie. I hadn't
beyond
heard that.
One of the shots fired by that AR, blackout, was fired from somewhere way up here.
It's all strategic, though.
I mean, that's the trajectory.
Get in their minds.
I can't tell you the distance it was from the animal cage to wherever. I can't tell you where the shooter was within that line.
But that line is way away from the right?
Right.
And this one, while it's closer, it's still many feet away from the feed door.
Yes.
So as you saw this area right here that night,
Tiffany,
you
I hope that's
assumed,
not the
not
case.
assumed, but everyone's sort of concluded that it was a relatively close shot into the feed room that killed Paul, correct? Two
We
shots.
just might.
I believe so.
Okay. Now the AR,
This case is more civil than the Daryl Brooks.
at least this line would indicate the AR was some distance away from the feed room when those two shots were fired, correct? Okay. Now, you recovered these projectiles. Were they tested for blood or tissue so that you could determine whether they passed through Maggie or just were missing?
So there's to the lab.
You don't know whether they tested them or not. If I told you they didn't test them, would that surprise you?
No.
Okay.
That's one way to
Now,
not argue.
does this lead you to believe,
Would that surprise
and
you?
you're someone that processes crime scenes, I mean, if this had been sketched out the night of the, I mean, you didn't take these measurements till a month later.
I took these measurements on scene the night of.
Oh, so you had these measurements?
Right.
But did you know the degrees
No, that I didn't know.
until July 12th? But on July 12th, did anyone go back out and walk this line to see if maybe there's shell casings way up here? No one looked up there, correct?
Not what I'm aware of.
Okay, and no one did a topographical study to indicate, if you follow these lines back, whether wherever a shooter could have been were higher or lower than the doghouse or the small animal cage, right?
Yeah, this is the prosecution's witness.
But doesn't this indicate to you there were two shooters? There was a shooter up here and a shooter down here?
Two shooters.
Is it a possibility? Let me say this. Is it a possibility that there are two shooters based on the data you collected?
Anything's possible.
It just indicated there was movement to me.
Is it probable?
Movement from here all the way up to here?
I don't know that it went all the way up there.
But is it, I'm not telling you, I mean, one
possible?
explanation would be movement, correct? One explanation would be two shooters. I'm sorry?
I
Yes?
wasn't there.
No. But one explanation
That's
of
a
the
good
data
response.
would be two shooters.
I wasn't there.
One explanation, not the, but one.
Not the only.
Yeah, not the only one, but it is a reasonable explanation, just like one shooter running up that way, correct?
Reasonable?
So one of the reasonable explanations is there are two people there, there are two guns there, one's a shotgun, one's an AR, and we now see that AR is being shot from way up here, correct?
I can't see that. No.
The punchline.
Somewhere along that line.
And that line goes a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen yards from the feed room, if you follow it straight up.
I don't know where they were within that line.
Could someone have been a lookout there? They went there to kill Paul, and that's the lookout. Maggie surprised them. They thought she was gone.
I have no idea.
Reasonable though, right? Right?
He's hitting on the burden is reasonable doubt.
I know you weren't there, but
Prosecution
none of us
beyond
were
a
there. We're
reasonable
trying to
doubt.
figure out what happened that night. And clearly, one reasonable explanation is two shooters.
And that's what he's trying to hit.
One explanation.
One.
Right. And a number of them.
You're right, Bonnie.
I'd like to offer this to evidence.
But that's what he is doing is, that's already in evidence. It's just a bigger blow up of it. But he's definitely trying to confuse.
Be prepared.
Talk to the court. I'm Victor.
I'm sorry. Your Honor, I'm offering this into evidence.
Says state.
No objection, Your Honor.
Pretty sure it's already admitted. It's just a blow up of it. But there's the punchline, and then we lost sound. No, we didn't. So they're saying that there's two shooters. That was a very long explanation to get there. And it doesn't look like she was ready for those questions about two shooters being there. And honestly, it didn't look like she had thought that that was an option. And it might not be. But like we said, Dick is trying to confuse the one tactic that he could be using is confusing the jury, which does work. Yeah, Tiffany, you don't think he did it strong enough? Yeah, he brought it all together at the end. It was just a very long and drawn-out way of getting there. But one good tactic that attorneys use, especially in a case like this when there's so many witnesses, is getting 1 point across for each witness. And if he's done, he can pass the witness.
Doghouse
Oh, he's not done.
shot.
An hour and a half. Yeah,
You
just for that one
testified it was
thing.
80-something degrees, right?
84 degrees.
It's not 90-something degrees?
I had 84.
Hour and a half with one timeout. Yeah, if I was the prosecution, I would have objected to him asking, is it reasonable?
Beg the court's indulgence. Let me look at these exhibits for a second.
A better question would have been, is it a possibility? Is that one option of what could have happened? Yeah, throwing everything, seeing what sticks. And yeah, I don't like to speculate is a great response.
Okay, let me show you defense exhibits
I did like her response. I don't know. I wasn't there.
19 and 22. Are these the actual protractor measurements you did that?
Of the animal cage.
Okay, both of them are of the animal cage?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do the same measurements?
Was that? I think he's for TV. Can't remember which he's from.
On the doghouse?
Yes.
What does that indicate?
You mean, what is this?
No, what is the angle based on that?
Can't really. $80-something.
Okay. You have in your notes, let me see what you have in your notes you recorded.
Let me see. Yeah, Bonnie, he does seem to get close to witnesses a lot. She does look exhausted.
And that's, where's your full report?
Luckily, she got a break over the
All the
weekend.
notes.
Yeah, I'm looking for the sketch though.
Dick should have it in his own papers. He shouldn't have to go up there. Yeah, Tiffany, they have to review a lot.
Okay, where's the
Prosecution should have
doghouse?
gone over everything with them. A lot of times you can't even know what someone like Dick is going to ask. But it's very interesting that he's up
What does
there
the horizontal 96 degrees mean?
with the witness. Like he's
Not
pointing
sure
to
why that
someone.
says 96.
I'm sorry?
I'm not sure why it says 96 if I had 84.
He's pointing to something
In your crime scene notes?
the jury
That's
can't
right.
even see.
But you wrote down, your official report said 96 degrees.
My note said 84 degrees.
Well, did you just,
Yeah, Tiffany, they're actually in most jurisdictions, the
notes
states,
were taken at the scene?
The state
Yes.
is supposed to turn over all their documents and evidence that they're going to use way before trial. And defense has to do it usually a little before trial. And most of the things that you don't produce, defense definitely doesn't have to produce as much, but the state has to pretty much produce everything they have, which is understandable
Let me move on to a different area.
because their life isn't at risk.
Let me say this to you. Based on your calculations, both of those shots came well to the right, if you're facing the feed room, well to the right of where the feed room is, correct?
Thereabouts.
I'm sorry?
Thereabouts, yes.
Bonnie, he probably does have it. He probably doesn't know
That
where
what
it
you
is,
said?
though.
Yes, sir.
So I'm trying to look for some concise, you're a criminalist. You would agree with me that they did not come from the feed room, or
Right.
the vicinity of the feed room, and they're literally yards away from the feed room, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to beat that horse. So let's talk a little bit about
What now?
footprints.
Where are we going to
Okay.
now? Footprint.
Okay.
So I noticed in your report, correct me if I'm wrong, that you were unable to identify, either exclude or include, a number of different footprints in and around the feed room, bloody footprints, and other footprints, because of the quality of the photography. Is that correct?
I was able to attribute them to Paul's shoes.
I'm sorry.
I was able to attribute them to Paul's shoes, though.
Well, we'll talk about Paul's shoes in just a minute. But when
He's
you,
not organized at all.
what's the process to take a photograph of footwear or imprint that's recognized by a number of different agencies, including the FBI? What's that process?
Place a scale, and preferably an L scale, around the impression and document it with the camera parallel to the surface so you get a straight on shot. Put it, the camera in raw settings so you capture all the data with that photograph.
So let me ask you, so the process is, first
You
of
just
all,
said
you
the
take
process.
a general photograph of the impression, right?
Yes.
Doesn't matter what angle, doesn't matter what the lighting is at that point, correct?
If you're just documenting
You're
that
just
it's there.
But when you go to take a photograph of a footprint for forensic analysis later on to compare it to a known shoe, you're supposed to do a couple things. One, you're supposed to have good lighting if you can get it, right?
Preferably.
Two, you're supposed to put a scale down next to it so that later on you can, because you need to understand how big or how small the foot is and the distance between the treads. So the scale's a little, like a little ruler, just a piece of a ruler that you put down next to it to get some idea what an inch looks like, what 2 inches look like. And that's really important, is it not?
It is, to make sure it's to scale.
Okay.
Long question.
And then you're supposed to do a photograph straight down on it with good lighting, so that you can you understand what you're seeing is a straight on impression, correct?
That's right.
Now, was that done on any of the impressions that y'all analyzed?
No, we didn't recognize on scene.
I'm sorry?
We didn't recognize on scene that there was footwear.
You didn't recognize on scene there was what?
Footwear impressions in the room.
He seems.
Well, that brings up another topic. There was what may have been a footwear impression on Maggie's calf, correct?
I couldn't say that was a footwear impression, just an impression,
Well, there was something on her leg that could have been a footwear impression, correct?
possibly.
Possibly. And again, they didn't put a scale, they didn't do any of this procedure, correct?
That's right.
And it was in dirt,
Yes,
or mud, one. And so once her body was removed from the scene, that examination could never be done, correct?
that's right.
Matter of fact, none of the impressions could be examined after the next day at best, correct?
Not physically,
Right. We couldn't go back out and take new photographs.
right.
So the procedures followed were not the procedures recommended by every agency and in your agency, correct?
If I had realized that was footwear on scene, I would have documented it properly, yes.
Okay. But since it wasn't documented properly, we can't include or exclude, except for Paul's, correct?
That's right.
Now, are you a certified footwear examiner?
Yes.
By who?
Well, within SLED, yes.
I'm sorry?
Within SLED.
Within SLED, but you not peer reviewed or?
Oh, yes, I am peer reviewed.
By somebody at SLED.
Yes.
Dang, that's impressive.
And your
know what
analysis
SLED
is
is.
that one set of those footwear impressions is Paul facing the back of the feed, right?
Right.
And yet we know, and they're bloody, so he's already been shot.
Right.
And we know the initial shot came buckshot, very small pattern, in his chest and came out underneath his left arm. Matter of fact, there was wadding under his left arm, and buckshot went through the back window and embedded in the windowsill. You documented that, right?
Right.
And then I think some of it embedded in a tree back behind that window, correct?
I think, yes.
And
Look at Alex,
he's facing
his emotions.
backwards, bloody footprints. Has anyone discussed with you how he got faced away from where he was shot?
No?
Were the footprints smudged as if he was turning?
And there was blood dripping.
Might be hard
He
to
was
tell from
stepping in the
sponge.
blood and leaving his own footwear impressions in the blood. I don't know that it was smeared necessarily.
Well, we also know that a second shot, literally his head exploded, his brain flew out. We know there's hair and blood all over that door up high. There's actually hair and blood and pieces of his skull in the ceiling and around him. Assuming the first shot would not have been immediately fatal because it didn't hit any critical organs, he would have been alive for some period of time after that shotgun blast to the chest. But the second shot, as you've seen in the pictures, and you were there that night, wasn't his brain laying at his feet?
It was beside his left leg, yes.
I'm sorry?
It was beside his left leg, yes.
Yeah. And his feet are just, one of them is just inside the feed room and the other's not.
Yes.
And he's face down.
Right.
So you can't explain how he got shot in the front when he's at some point soon thereafter facing backwards.
I can't say which way he was facing when he was actually shot. The second shot, he was right there at the door. I can tell you that.
So he got from facing the back door after he was shot, the back window, to facing forward for the second shot.
On the
Is that
fence
right?
about Alex.
Right.
I am too.
Has anyone from SLED briefed you on after you identified those footprints?
No,
They didn't ask for any explanation?
not for me, no.
Okay, and you would agree that because of the way the scene was processed, that most of the footprints you were unable to do any comparison to because of the way.
And the jury
The
will be
pictures were-
watching.
No, I was able to do a comparison and they were mostly Paul's
Okay.
shoes.
Watching Alex as well.
Other than those two?
There was one right inside the door. There was one further to the left where the door was. Then there were at least two by marker one.
And correct me if I'm wrong, at least one of those bloody footprints initially identified as Paul's turned out to be a police officer's, isn't that correct?
It wasn't initially identified as Paul's, no.
But there was a bloody footprint near his that turned out to be law enforcement, correct?
Yes,
In the feed room,
right.
in blood. Is that preservation of the scene that your standards require?
Not exactly, no.
Not
There's always
exactly.
things wrong in
Should the police be walking through the scene?
investigations.
No,
Always
Do we
something
know what
happens.
other evidence they may have destroyed?
I have no idea.
That's right, we don't.
So he's
Now,
trying to cast doubt. But there are a few things I want to address. I have a 1-month-old baby, and so I need to get home pretty soon. But two things I wanted to address were this. Tiffany said also a ton of compound questions. there are a lot of compound questions, and I mean, it's fine. It confuses the jury more for the defense, but the prosecution can definitely object when that happens and say objection compound or even just objection. And the the judge can overrule or sustain that. Another thing I want to address is Bonnie. Bonnie keeps said he likes to testify in the form of a question, and that is one technique used on cross-examination is testifying for the witness, pretty much. And sometimes what some lawyers are taught is it doesn't really matter what their answer is. It matters about your question because you're telling a story through your questions and not the witness's testimony. Now, what kind of story was he trying to tell? That's up in the air. But those are two close things. And thank you. Congrats. Yeah, it's been a fun journey. Still figuring it out. So he's 1 month and 3 days, I think. So still figuring it out. Newborn baby boy, enjoying it. But thanks for joining us tonight. And I enjoyed the commentary, especially Tiffany and Bonnie. And we'll definitely have to do this again. I don't schedule the lives because I'm not sure when I will be able to get on. But if I can schedule them, I will so that you all know. But look forward to the next one. I'll try to get on tomorrow. Have a great evening.